Once again, welcome to workshop 3 of the Ploud September onboarding cohort group. And today we're going to be talking about drop-down menus, both with folders and with pages. We'll have a couple examples of each so that you get a feel for how it works. And collections, which are when you pull items from around your site, but most commonly around your calendar, and display them neatly down a page. And then creating a collection from scratch, and we're going to do one called Fall Adult Programming. So we're going to have some programs as if we were all open and people were welcome in our buildings, putting it out there. And then portlets. So portlets are those boxes on your templates, only the right side of every page. So we're going to add an overdrive portlet that advertises and links out to your overdrive account. And then another one for RSS feeds, and this is an older technology, but many newspapers still put them out. You can get a feed from like the New York Times Sunday Book Review, also any of their news if you're interested in just a news feed. But we're also going to try to grab a UP local paper and see if they're producing an RSS feed so that you can have your local paper headlines on your site. Detroit does it, Grand Rapids does it, Lansing does it. A lot of papers do it. And then we'll talk some about the navigation portlet. And the homework today is another niche course. We are still open during COVID-19, serving your community via your website with lots of great ideas for information to include on your site right now so that you can still provide patron service via your website. Okay, so I'm going to move this over. Drop-down menus. I know this is a popular topic and you're wondering, how do I get additional items in these drop-downs? And how do I add items to my global navigation and then create additional drop-downs? So let's start off with adding an additional folder at either the global navigation level or one level down, such as with Get a Library Card, Renew or Reserve, and Access Audiobooks, are accomplished by going to the level where you want the folder to appear and adding it. So if I wanted it to appear here, I would come to my root folder contents, in other words, the core structure of my site, and add a new folder. That would add an item up here, and we're going to call it Friends. We have a very active Friends group. I save it, and boom, it immediately appears here. Because I'm logged in, I can see it. My patrons can't see it. There's nothing in the folder. It's just a structural piece of content on my Ploud site. So let's go over to add an additional item to how do I. We're going to add how do I reserve the community room. So what you need to do is get to this underlying level under how do I. So I'm going to start calling on folks, and we're going to start that. So Megan, what would you do to get to the how do I level to add how do I reserve the community room?
Well, in reality, I would send an email to Nikki, but for today, I think I'd go to that root menu and then click on that folder for the how do I.
Perfect. And what is the next step?
Is there a add new here? Yes.
Yep. There's an add new everywhere.
Perfect.
So, pick folder. And this one is reserve the community room. And we want to follow the format. So they have a question mark at the end. How do I do all of these things? And once again, you're always going to include a summary because this is what appears in search engine results. And as we talk more about collections today, you're going to find that this is important for other aspects of Ploud as well. It's not just the search engines. For the sake of expediency, I'm going to save. And now we have a new drop-down menu item. How do I reserve the community room? This menu automatically spaces so that it's long enough for whatever you put in here. And we can also rearrange these items. So to rearrange items in a folder, I'm going to go to that folder. First, it takes me to reserve the community room. I'm going to go up a level. And now here is everything in How Do I. I'm going to put them in alphabetical order. I'm going to go with Access Audiobooks first. Get a library card naturally falls second, then Renew, then Reserve. If I needed to move this up here, I could. You just grab the little cribbage board and it automatically saves. Then we can come home, which will refresh it, and the How Do I reflects what we moved. Okay, let's do a second one so that we can walk through it together again as a group. Angela, how would I add another drop-down folder for how do I make a donation?
Go to the root menu, or root folder content, sorry.
Mhm.
Go into How Do I, add new folder. How do I make donations?
Yes, wonderful, thank you.
Mhm.
Perfect. And now just like everything you're ever gonna add to Ploud, it comes to the bottom of the list. So we've got how do I access, renew, get, reserve, and make a donation. Perfect. Okay, now we are going to go and we're going to do something just a little bit different. You can always add a subfolder to one of your global navigation items and it will appear here. But if you want to add a subfolder, for instance, under About Us, Additional Services, it's going to appear over here on the right in your navigation portlet, whether it's a folder or a page. So once you get down a level, it's simpler to add pages than it is to add folders because they're not going to appear on your navigation. There is no flyaway menu. It drops down one level, no flyaway. So here we are under additional services, and I'm going to add a new, in this case, page. And this one is going to be Notary Public. Once again, I would always include a summary, and the text is going to be, we have Notary Publics available Tuesdays 2 to 4 p.m. Just something simple. We would say more. I can save this. And now, under additional services, I have Notary Public. I open it up and I see that text. All right, now under About Us, additional services, I see this default page here and this over here. And this may not be something so subtle that I only wanted over here. I'm going to add one more page and then we're going to start looking at some display options. In other words, how we display what's contained in the additional services folder. So this time I'm going to add a new services page for fax, copy, print, scan. Okay, and I'm going to come down to text. And let me show you one other thing you'll want to know. If I had this accessibility class ready, we would go ahead and watch this for homework, but it's not done yet. And that is how to properly use heading structure. So for any page title, this is pretty much anywhere on the internet, this is your H1 level. In other words, heading 1, the most important thing that's happening on the page. Anything underneath it, the first most important item is going to be a header 2. And you don't want to use the headers to indicate, you don't want to use the headers because of their size. You want to use them to indicate the importance and the structure of the content. So for instance, when I create the learning objectives for these classes that we're sharing, over here I am using this structure. This is a heading 2, homework is a heading 3, and it displays over in my table of contents. And that is good for screen reader users who can more easily manipulate, or not manipulate, but navigate your content. And then underneath it, you would just use ordinary text. So let's go ahead and then if you had like subheadings under this, you would go to heading 3, heading 4, heading 5, etc. So I'm going to save this. We now have 2 items, Notary Public and Fax, Copy, Print, Scan. We can indeed move these around just like we moved the folders under How Do I? But let's say that instead of that, what we want to do is display all 3 of these pages, the warning concerning copyright restrictions for use in the library, the Notary Public Service, and the Fax, Copy, Print, Scan right on what we call the landing pages of additional services, what you get when you click on the word additional services. So I'm going to come here under Display, and you're going to see that I have a number of different options. The most attractive, most of the time, when you have multiple items, is Summary View. And you can see that there are 3 pages here. What you can also see is that there's no description of what you're going to get when you click on this because there's no summary text. So it's not available to your users in Google, and it's not available to your users on the site. So just a little bit of what they can get, additional services, this, read our copyright policy, read the US copyright policy, and same for Notary Public, and Fax, Copy, Print, Scan can go a long way to making that more usable. So now we have this in our navigation structure. Does it feel reasonably clear as to why you would use a folder and when you would use a page? So basically you would use a folder at either the global navigation level or the sub-navigation level. But once you get one more level down, you're inside one of the drop-downs, then use pages. They're simpler. Okay. Alrighty, so let's go on to collections. Collections are a particular type of page, and what they do is pull items from around your site. So here we have days the library will be closed. These are pulling items from your calendar. You can, of course, just create a page and say, closed for Thanksgiving, closed for Christmas, closed for New Year's, whatever other holidays you have. But then you also need to put them on your calendar because you don't want people to have to go to two places for that information, and this is pretty standard information about, days you're going to be closed, pretty common thing for people to want to know, you can simply add them to your calendar. You do one thing to make them unique. You add a tag to them. For this, every item, all of the holidays in the calendar are tagged closed. And then you pull them out and display them down the page. This page needs a little bit of refreshing at the end of each year because, as you can see, it stops at the end of 2020. I'm going to click on Edit. Before I show you this, the next thing we're going to do is create a collection that we can all understand. This collection has a whole bunch of stuff, a whole bunch of rules around it. The only thing you need to know about this particular collection is that you need to update the day when you get close to the end of the year. So I'm going to say that I want this to end December of 2021. We'll try that again because I defaulted to today. I do not know why I'm having problems, but oh, I know what I need to do. I need to go to 2021 and go to December, and I actually need to pick the day. There we go. So now it's going to display the events for the end of this year, as well as the events through next year. So at the end of every year, you'll want to come and update that day. So let's take a look at how these items are being pulled in here, how they're being tagged. So I'm going to go into closed for Independence Day. That's an easy one. It's always going to be July 4th. So the only holidays I picked to put on this this template were holidays that had that were common and that had a definite time that we could use in an event recurrence. So these holidays are scheduled out for the next 15 years. And if we're still doing this exact same thing in 15 years, I will do a webinar on how to update everything. But for now, what we're going to do is look at, I am in here. I want to edit this. I'm going to click on July 4th, 2022. It's going to fuss at me. Okay, I'm going to go into the calendar, days the library, my events calendar, and go to July 4th and open it. So this is just your typical event. And the one thing that's different about it is that it has a tag. So it's got text, it's got a date, totally normal piece of information, but under categorization, it's tagged closed. When that happens, I can pull it out. So let's do a collection from scratch. First of all, we're going to add an event to this collection called Closed for Sidewalk Work. So I'm going to come into my calendar and I'm going to add a new event. And I'm going to say that we are closed for sidewalk repair. See you again soon. When does the event start? I'm going to say that the event starts on Friday the 18th and that it ends on the 20th. These are full days that were closed. And I'm going to come down here and choose a lead image. I did go nab an image earlier today from a stock art company. And that is sidewalk. Let's see if I saved it right. hopefully. And we need a caption for that. Sidewalk construction. And save. Okay, now we need to tag it. Janet, do you remember where we go to tag an event?
No.
That's okay. We only looked at it once. We're going to go to edit, and then we're going to go to categorization. We're looking for the category. And we're going to tag it CLOSED. It comes up, and then I need to select it and click enter. This look, where it's its own box in the tags box, means that it's been tagged. So I'm going to save that. I'm going to publish it. Now I'm going to go back to days the library will be closed, and this appears in date order. What I put in the summary is here. My lead image is a perfect box shaped like everything else, and I can get more information if I click on the event. So now let's do a collection from scratch for fall adult programming. And we are going to create a drop-down menu and display those events. So the first thing we're going to do is go to the calendar. We're going to add a couple of events. So Nikki, how would I add an event for, I've got the image, we'll do library mini golf.
You want to click the date that you want to do it.
How do I, okay, so just take a step back. What do I do first?
Mm,
You go to add
I'm
new
not sure.
and event. Yep, add
Oh,
new
okay.
event. That's okay. Yep, so now we've got our fields to fill out. So this one is library mini golf. And this is another reason why it's important to use a summary, because in collections, this is the information they're going to get on that display page. So families welcome for low impact library mini golf on our lawn. Okay, and this is going to be, well, not that Saturday because there's sidewalk work. We'll do it the 26th of September from 11 to, starts at a.m., 11 to 3. And I need to pick the right date. Okay. Now I have all these fields that I can fill out as if I needed to. For this one, I'm going to click Save. And now I need a way to tag it. So I'm going to go back into Edit. And Nikki, you're my person on this one. How do I tag Library Mini Golf?
Okay, go into categorization.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see. Would you make the new category or?
Yep, you can tag it anything you'd like. What would you like to tag it?
Yes, maybe like family programming.
Sure.
Something like that.
There we go. And I'm going to show you how easy it is to tag things in just a moment. Ploud has your back on this one. So remember that this one is 2 words and both lowercase. So we're going to save this. And we're going to go on to our next event. And I'm going to call on Laura. Okay, Laura, how do we add an event for Daddy-Daughter Hair Salon?
There we go. So you would go to add an event, And then I think you could do it under family programming again.
Yeah, so let me fill out the fields first. Daddy, daughter, hair salon. And the summary is going to be limited to 3 families at a time. Please register. And if you all remember, Ploud has registration software. So I'm going to do this one for Tuesday, the 22nd, and we'll just default to those hours. I'm going to choose a lead image, and I think I need to go back and do that for the other one too. Here's Daddy Daughter Hair Salon. And save. Okay, Laura, what do I need to do to make sure that this event ends up in our family programming collection?
I think you need to go to categorization.
And how do I get there from here?
You go to, let's see here, edit. Is it edit categorization?
Yep, edit and then categorization. And do you remember what we called this?
You called it family programs, lowercase letters.
And you said family programs. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and enter that and save it. And for those of you paying really close attention, yes, the last one was family programming. This one is family programs. It is literally impossible to do it perfectly over and over and over again, especially as time passes. Like I said, the system has your back. You'll see that in just a moment. Let me go over to the event we just created. I want to make sure that I added a picture. I don't remember if I did. I did not. Okay, let's go back into edit and scroll down. These are much more attractive with pictures. Choose a lead image. We have an indoor library mini golf. Ha, last year's mini golf. And save. Okay, and we're going to do one more event. And I'm calling on you, Menominee County. Which of you is going to take it?
Okay, so you would go to add new
Mm-hmm.
and then event.
Mm-hmm. And this one is going to be the only movie theater in town. We're outside. So we're going to play, what movie would you play for your patrons if you could play them anything right now?
We'll watch Moana.
Please tell me I spelled that right.
No, close enough. It's fine.
Darn it. See, the system doesn't catch me on Disney. Okay, so this is going to be a Friday night. We'll do it on Friday the 25th when it gets a little dark out. Oh, hey, that wasn't nice. Friday the 25th at, say, so this is kids, so we'll say 7:30 and they can all fall asleep to the movie. 7:30 to 9:30 because we're going to be outside. My neighbors, they put up a blow-up movie screen and played Hamilton. I'm like, oh, somebody's got COVID down and it's not me. Okay. So you would, once again, add your text. We're going to add a lead image, and that's going to be movies, film strip, and save. Okay, Menominee, how do we tag this?
Then go to edit and then categorization. And in the tags, type family programming.
And when it comes up, you hit enter, and then you know it's been selected. I save. Okay, so now I have 3 events on my calendar for family programming for the fall, and I want to use a drop down, just like we have days the library will be closed, that say fall programming or family programming. So Dickinson County, how would I add a drop-down menu under calendar?
So you would go to calendar in your root menu, yeah,
Mhm.
root folder, and go to calendar and then add a folder.
Great.
Call it fall programming or whatever you like.
Okay. And save. And now this is the part that that is new. So we are going to add a collection. We're going to pull those 3 items and they're going to display all nice and neat. So I am going to add a new collection. So it's just another item here, just like adding a folder or a form folder or a page. It's called a collection. And this one is fall programming. What I put here is what's actually going to be on the top of the page. And what I put here is going to be on the top of the page. And I'm going to call this family friendly library events with proper social distancing. So we come down here and I need to select my criteria. What are my criteria to create this collection? And there are actually lots of criteria. I can pull events that start or end on a particular day or date out of my calendar. I can use metadata, so I can pull things out of Creator. I can do everything that Angela created, everything Nikki created, everything Megan created. Or I can do something very specific, and this is my personal favorite, is tag, because either I tagged it or I didn't, and nothing is a surprise in what shows up here. So I'm going to come here to matches any of, and look at that. When I put my cursor in there, every tag in the system showed up. So I have family programming and family programs. So even if I had accidentally created 2 different categories, I'm going to know by looking at them, oh, those are both what I need. Family programming and family programs. This is a preview of what's going to show up. It asks, how do you want to sort it? I want to sort it by event start date. So the first one that's going to happen is the first one that appears. I come down and save. And now we have some display issues. Don't stop here. We need it to look good. So I'm going to go here to display and choose a summary view. That's simple. One little change under display goes from a page you would never want to look at, you wouldn't want to show your patrons, and you wouldn't bother creating, to something that's actually nice. Cute little image, text that describes it, the event date. And when you're logged out, your patrons don't see who created it. They just see the information about getting there. So you'd think, oh, look, I have my page, I'm done. Not quite. So display is something that will stand you in good stead. The more you use display, the more you know about display, the better off you'll be. Every time you create something, go double check the display. Go back to the drop-down, go to the item, and look, we changed the display inside the collection, but not the display in the folder. Does that make sense? I know you're thinking, hey, but I told it what I wanted. You got to tell it twice. So I am going to drop down to display in the folder view and select a content item as default view. I'm doing this because I want that collection. I want the content to display on this page. I want the default view of the folder to be the content, not just the summary, not just a standard view, not just a little bit. I want the entire default view to be the content. It's the only item in the folder I click Save. And now when I drop down the calendar to fall programming, I get the actual display. Can you see or can you think of times where you would use this and it would be useful to you, or does it just seem like too much trouble? What is your feeling coming into it right now?
So I had a question for the collections. Now say September 22nd goes by and daddy daughter hair salons all over. Does that leave your collection or does it stay in there because it's tagged as such?
Excellent question. So you, yes, you do need to expire your content. So you come here under Edit, and you have Dates. The expiration date is September. You can either do it 22nd after the event or the next day, and save. And now it will fall off both your calendar and your collection, but you will always see it because you're logged in. So if you come to view it when you're logged in, you're like, hey, it didn't fall off my calendar. Just log out and it will be gone. But yes, thank you for that question. You need to expire events if you want them to automatically fall off.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go on to Portlets. So there's a lot going on over here that can work to your benefit. So a couple of things to know about the Portlets. Number one, there are lots of different kinds of Portlets. They're not all just a box. Also, in a mobile view, this is going to go under the little hamburger icon. Then your patrons are going to see the content on the left and then the content in the Portlet. Whatever you have in the center of your page, no matter whether you have Portlets on the right and left or just right, this is the content they see first. And the content they see very first is the emergency message if you need to get something out quickly. So let's go ahead and add an overdrive portlet on the right. You can access what's going on over here from the bottom of your page, no matter where you are on the site. It says Manage Portlets. When I come here, I get this information about what's going on. I can see that I have parent portlets. In other words, they're coming from a higher structure level, they're a parent level, and they appear everywhere. Navigation, the catalog, location and hours, and events. If I wanted to add something more there, I can go to, this is not good language. If you need to go up a level, go to the link in the middle of the page and just keep going until you see arrows and the ability to hide and delete items. These are all, this means that you're at the root level. So we're going to add a portlet, and it's going to be a static text portlet. So you have a number of different options here. You have library locations, that's for location and hours. You can move your login button anywhere you want it to go. You could put it on, you could do a staff only page, and maybe you could have a staff calendar there or staff information that's only viewable when you log in and they don't have the ability to edit, they just have the ability to view. That's all possible. And then the static text portlet means that you can add any text, any image, or any link. So it looks just like any other field that you would create in Ploud. And my cat is telling me, Mama, it is time for lunch. And this one is going to be called Overdrive. And I'm going to come down here, and what I want is a clickable link. So I went to Google Images, which you should be very careful about. And I grabbed the Overdrive image. So I'm going to come here to the Insert/Edit Image mountain icon, go to Upload, and browse my computer for the Overdrive icon. Now, once again, I always want to upload it to my Site Assets Images folder. This is not something you want to forget about. So this time I'm going to quiz Angela. Angela, how do I get this into my Site Assets Images folder? Okay, I'm going to let you pass. Anybody else? Would anybody else like to take up the question of how to get to your Site Assets Images folder?
You click the house
Perfect.
and then go to Site Assets folder.
Great. And then select images. So we opened Site Assets and then we selected images. Title is for the search engines, Overdrive icon. Alternative text is for the screen readers, and most of the time it's fine for that to be the same. They don't need to know that it's a cursive O with a blue background. More information than they need. Overdrive icon is fine. I'm going to insert it. I'm going to center it here so it's centered in the portlet. Now I'm going to link this image over to, I'm just going to link it to the company, overdrive.com. Ideally, I would link it to the library account. Anybody want to talk me through how to link this image?
Select the link option at the top by the mountain.
Great. And which kind of link is it?
Be external.
Right. And would you open this in the current window or a new window?
New window.
Right, because you're going off the site. And once again, we have a title for the search engines. And insert. And there is this button down here that's going to become very important. It's called Omit Portlet Border. I'm not going to check it, and we're going to take a look at what this appears to be. So once again, because I added it to the, well, because I added it, it went to the bottom. I can move it up with the arrows. It moves one space at a time. I'm going to put it on top just so it's easy to see when we reload the home page. We need a cribbage board there. So I'm going to go to my home page, and I have Overdrive in a gray box, and this links out to Overdrive. But I can get rid of all of this gray business by clicking Omit Portlet Border. We clicked Omit Portlet Border for here. Who can get me back into this portlet?
Okay, so you would scroll down to the bottom of your page
Mhm.
and manage portlets.
Mhm.
And then click on the where it says Overdrive.
Mhm.
And scroll down, and there's your checkbox.
Perfect. Okay, you guys are brilliant. And you can be in my classes every single quarter. So now we go back, and it looks much nicer. You just have the logo over there. So that's like another little important step. If your portlet, some of them have gray boxes, some of them don't, you don't know what's going on, it's your portlet border. So that is a static text portlet. Let's take a look at an RSS feed. So you may ask, how do I find the RSS feed? They used to be all over websites, and they're not really anymore. So I'm just going to open a Chrome window, and I'm going to say New York Times RSS feeds. Open it up, and here's a page of all the feeds that they create. So we're going to go to Arts and the Sunday Book Review, and you're like, whoa, what do I do with all this? Don't worry about it. You come up to the address bar and you do Control-C to copy. That is the actual RSS feed. That's the address. So I highlighted it and I copied it. I'm going to go back here, and now I need another portlet on the right. Can somebody else talk me through how to add another portlet on the right side of the page? So I'm gonna, go ahead, go for it. I hear somebody talking.
So scroll down to manage portlets.
Mhm.
And then you're going to want to click on the go here. And now you can add, right? We're to the left.
Mhm.
So there we go, RSS feed.
Here's the one for RSS feed. And it asks for the address, Control V to paste, how many items to display. I don't want it taken over my page. I'm going to say, you just show me 3. It's going to say, how long or how often should I reload it? I'm saying, well, it's only going to be published once a week, but we'll say every 100 minutes in case something so radical happens that they update the Sunday book review in the middle of the week. So we're going to click back on our icon, and now we can see the New York Times Sunday book review, groomed to be president, Elena Ferrante returns with a line, and you can click into these and they will take you to the New York Times. For this one, we didn't have the option of clicking out, of linking out. It just opens in the same window. So let's try it with a local feed just to see if it's possible. Does anybody want to try it with their local newspaper? Is there a popular newspaper in one of your towns that you'd like to see if it has an RSS feed? I'm going to go with the Mining Journal, and we'll just see. And that's just about mining. So it looks like the Mining Journal doesn't have one. The Detroit Free Press does, Lansing State Journal, Grand Rapids, some of the bigger papers, and you know how to find them. Literally Google search the name of the paper and RSS feed, and if it's a place like the New York Times, it'll pop right up. So I am going to go ahead and take questions at this point and then assign homework, which I will also email to you. Are there any questions? We have got 5 minutes left.
For the RSS feed for the newspapers, do you have to have a subscription to those newspapers in order to get their feed?
Nope, they are putting it out there publicly. It is on their website. It is not behind a paywall. And all they have to do is shut down the RSS feed. It is entirely within their control to provide it or not provide it.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else? Any other questions? Okay, so your homework is going to be in Niche Academy again. So if you come to the Library of Michigan homepage, I'll send you the direct link, but you can drop down to 4 libraries, open up the ... under Continuing Education, and select Niche Staff Skills Academy. And I just removed it from featured. It used to be at the top of the page, but this is how you get to the entire academy. And I will send you the link to that individual webinar. It takes about 20 minutes, and it has some really good ideas. One is from a Ploud library, Tracy Logan at Cadillac Wexford, and the other is from, what's Eva Davis's library? Canton. And it's Lori Golden, her marketing person, and they're talking about how they choose what information to put on their websites during COVID to support their patrons. And it's not just information about hand washing. This is how to collect local information and what types of local information to collect. So I will send that out. Let's go ahead and stop recording.